And as promised, a third episode. Ben and I sit down with Tim Elms, who created the rum cake business, The Captain's Rations. An entrepreneur at heart, Tim has spent many years in sales and business development, but has always tried to have a side hustle on the go. Although his most recent venture is less than a year old, he is already seeing tremendous success. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this one. Tim has an incredible story.
I was the same old me with the same old blues. I was the same old me with the same old blues. I was the same old me with the same old blues. I was the same old me.
All right, everyone, welcome back. It's another episode of Brand New View. I'm here with my co-host, Ben Brammer. How you doing, Ben?
Good afternoon. Doing well, thank you.
Awesome, good to hear. We are here with Tim Elms. How you doing, Tim?
I'm good. Good.
Tim is here today because he just started a small business about 7 or 8 months ago.
Yeah, it's been
6 or
about
7?
6.5 months. Yeah.
Yeah. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Okay. Well, when I met you, we were showcasing our rum cakes with Appleton rum, and we started the business kind of on a bit of a dare. So the rum cakes, I think they're amazing. My wife said that they were quite good, so we've gone and done the circuit of rum cake tasting, and of course everybody loves rum cakes, right?
Everyone loves a rum cake.
Can't wait to have the one you gave us.
It's incredible to see your face light up when you speak about them.
It's
I can only see the eyes up, so it's amazing.
It's pretty funny because the whole idea with the rum cakes, my mom passed about 8 years ago, and this is her recipe, and so it's great. It's something that's been passed down to me, and I'm able to share with my kids. And
I love that.
This rum cake business is something that's started out with all good intentions. It's cathartic, and it's really been a lot of fun. And the one thing that I get out of it is my kids are like, "Oh, I'm so proud of you, Dad," and that's great. Plus, they love to eat lots of sweets and rum cakes. So that's kind of a little bit about our cakes, you know.
So who dared you?
That'd be my wife. We were sitting with my niece, who wants to move to Nova Scotia because it's a great spot to live.
Why wouldn't you?
And she wants to start her own business.
Love it.
I said, it's really easy to start your own business, Jess. That's my niece. And my wife looked at me and she said, "Well, put your money where your mouth is." I said, "What?" She said, "You've been wanting to go to the market and sell these cakes, and we've been talking about this, so let's get to it." So we came up with the name Captain's Rations, Nautical Rum Cakes. It's all based on the Navy stipend of rum, the Royal Navy. And so there's about 2 ounces in every one of our cakes, like the little one that you guys got.
Yeah.
And
Looks delicious. I cannot wait.
We'll post a picture on Instagram.
you guys,
We
before
better post it soon.
Yeah.
And so we came up with the name, and it's all to teach my kids about business, but then just to show my niece that, you can just do it and have some fun. And from there, it's just really taken off. It's been loads of fun, you know. So that's amazing.
Sounds
awesome.
like you've got great intuition just to dive in. That's amazing. Let's learn a little bit more about that. Where did you come from? Where did it all start with Tim?
Well,
Stillwater, correct?
Yeah, Stillwater Lake.
Yeah.
Yeah, we actually moved to Stillwater Lake from Ireland. We were living over in Ireland for about 3 years, and before that, we were living in Jasper and Canmore out west in
It's
Canada.
a great spot.
It was awesome.
Jasper's beautiful.
Yeah.
And
You've been all over the place.
and that's actually not where we started. So it was like Toronto where I met my wife.
Oh, wow.
And then I think I mentioned this too. I was doing some working at CTV Saskatoon, and so we just moved around a lot. It's all out of Canada.
Yeah.
And so where the hard work ethic comes into, it's just been drilled into me. You got to make it work. You got to make it work. And what I've learned from this situation of starting your own business, it's so scary. It's so scary to think like one day it could take off, and then you're all reliant on yourself, and you never feel prepared. From day one, I was baking 80 cakes, and And my wife's doing the marketing, and we're like, oh, is it going to work? Is people going to like it? And then we didn't feel prepared. We didn't have business cards or anything.
Yeah.
And we just did it.
Just did.
And it was so successful. We sold out that day. We had a bunch of pre-orders. We were standing around at the market for an hour.
Wow.
With no cakes looking around. And
Where are you exactly in the market?
we're at Hubbard's Market.
Okay.
So we decided to go with a smaller market because I also have 3 kids, 3 sons.
Right. 3 sons.
And we want them to run around and have fun. So they're putting as much into this as I am and my wife is, and she's got her own business on
Full
the
commitment.
side. Yeah.
You're going to have a bunch of entrepreneurs running around in a little bit.
That's the hope.
Yeah.
That's the hope. I mean, that's the best way they can learn is just by seeing what mommy and daddy are doing.
Hands on.
Yeah. And that's such a good point. It's like we get drilled into our head that you got to finish school, you got to get good marks, and then you got to go out and find a good job. And that doesn't work for everybody. It works for some people. It doesn't work for everybody.
Right.
And I don't want them to feel like, I don't want them to get into that zone of feeling anxiety, feeling depression and all that in a corporate situation when they could just branch out and do something that they love and find the passion. I mean, when it comes down to our rum cakes are great and I love them, and this business is really fun. I've always wanted to take something that's nothing and turn it into something, you know? But when it comes to, at the end of the day, it's a product, you know? But
Right.
and so there's complications where you're like, oh, you're angry about stuff, like the kitchen's dirty and you got to clean it up before you can actually make the cakes and things like that. But once I start getting into that motion, it puts a smile on my face, and I light up, you know you're on the right path and you're doing it for the right things, the right reasons. The kids can see that too, you know?
Definitely.
So they got to find their passion, and I'll be there to be cheering them on.
That's awesome.
Instilling the work ethic early, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's important.
And like you said, you know, there's going to be difficult times and frustrating times, but you want to wake up every morning and do it. So
Yeah,
that's the difference.
exactly. Like we were doing it the other night, and so there's a lot of side. We're everything. The bookkeeper, accountant, everything. You're everything at once, and you're also doing a full-time job during the day because I'm in transition mode, right?
Yeah.
So coming home after a long day of work and trying to keep it together and work on that, and then you got to do it all. So I'm sitting there at the computer, and then my wife pipes up, oh, by the way, we have to get 3 orders done for tomorrow. And I look, and I'm like, oh, man, our space is dirty. And like, I can't do that right now. And I'm angry, and start cleaning and everything. Because for me, the main thing is it's clean, then flavor. That's what it has to be, clean flavor in those order. So everything's clean, clean, clean. And then I start getting and working on the cakes and making the flavor come through. And it was very calming because, again, it's keeping my mom's memory alive. When she passed, we didn't have a lot of time to process it. So this is a way to help process that. And it's just all for the right, good reasons, you know?
And you were saying, I mean, that recipe, world famous, passed down through generations.
It is, yeah. It's been passed down through us and to us, and I actually rekindled it after we were going through my mom's things, and a little bit of a story on that. My wife grew up in Cayman Islands.
Cool.
Wow.
And she loves Taratuga rum cakes. It's very, very popular. I'm not sure if you guys have heard of these.
No.
Like,
Taratuga. The word sounds familiar.
yeah, it's a very famous rum cake, and
Never
it's
had one.
everywhere.
Okay.
She said, "Oh, you got to try these Taratuga rum cakes."
Are they
They're
native
great."
to the Cayman Islands? Or are they?
And they're Cayman Islands, and they're all through the Caribbean.
Yeah.
So she's like, "Oh, you got to try that." I said, "Okay, I'll try it." So one Christmas, her mom brings a Taratuga rum cake, and I tasted it, and I was like, "Oh, that's good, but nowhere near as good as my mom's." Like, and she's like, she didn't believe me, and I said, "No, one day you'll have mom's." So one day she did.
Yeah.
And she said, "What is this?"
Do you remember that day?
Completely, yeah. We baked it for her, and I don't remember the cake because it was gone. The cake was gone.
Yeah.
And she's like, "You can't make that again, but please make it again." And she asked for it for her birthday, and then that's when the idea started coming about selling at markets and then taking it to the next level. Because with that brand, Taratuga, they're everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere in the Caribbean. You go anywhere. They're in the restaurants.
Yeah.
So, and there's nothing like that here.
Right.
So we've heard from a lot of
That's
people.
true.
Yeah, a lot of people say, it's nothing here like that. Well, we want to be that. So we're going to get in the restaurants and grow.
Yeah, because most restaurants just do their own dessert. There's
Dessert menu,
no
yeah.
outside vendor kind of coming in. Well, that's an interesting point.
We've been doing things like, it's going to be fun to get this up and going because we're still kind of at the beginning of it. And, but we can see a bigger picture. And just from working with some other people, like some distilleries are going to be making some rum for us. We've been in the talks with that and trying to get the recipe just right, something that we could sell eventually.
Do you want to eventually, do you have like a overall goal in mind of a store eventually? Or what do you?
I actually would love that. Very tourist focused. Though,
Yeah.
I like this.
Actually, we've got
Here's the dream.
the end game.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to have a place. I don't want anything big. I think a lot of entrepreneurs are like, oh, let's get big and have a huge store and stuff. I don't
It's
envision
just kind
that.
of counter. Right?
Yeah.
I picture entrepreneur with in the same light as small business.
That's what I think.
Niche.
Right? I think niche, very, very small.
And making it sustainable and
Right.
something that people are going to want to come and try, you know?
Not factory or like
No.
massive overproduction.
And
Overproduction.
I mean, getting into the restaurants, there's going to be a kind of a factory out. Like, you're going to need to have the mass production and whatnot. But to answer your question, we would love to have we've termed this, we coined this term, I think, a rummery.
Oh,
We
okay.
want to open up a rummery. I think that's the grandiose idea of this store where we have somebody making the rum that we sell beside us. We have rum products. That'd be great. We'd love to have
great. I think that would really work too.
Yeah, I think so too. In a touristy area, it has to be downtown Halifax,
Yeah.
and that's our idea. And then just grow it and see where it takes us, you know. But definitely our focus right now is the restaurants
and still in the market.
and in the market because I think that's the only way to do it. Having the full-time job though, and then something's got to give.
Yeah.
It's tricky.
How are you balancing that right now? Because you've been at, I don't know, do you want to say Imperial or just say another job?
That's another job.
Another
That's
job.
good.
So you've
Or
been
you
at
could-
your
you
other.
could- You could say Imperial. It won't get into do you.
Okay. They're like, what is he doing behind our backs? So
It's all in the evening. It's in the evening.
How long have you been there?
Right now, it's been a year.
Been a year. Okay.
Been a year, so it's not been a long
Not too
time.
long.
But going back to kind of the other point that I said earlier, it's like with corporations, you kind of, without sounding too Debbie Downerish, okay, you're just a number.
Yeah.
You're just a number.
Right.
So no matter what,
It's not as much feel.
no, as if you're working in a satellite office, which happens a lot in Atlantic Canada. These big companies get big and then they get bought out, and then all of a sudden you're a satellite office. It happens 99% of the time, and very rarely is there going to be an office here where your direct boss is going to be the decision maker on a macro level. So you could be working your butt off. You could be, and I was in sales, and I was in sales.
I'm in sales.
In business development, and you could be rocking it. All right.
Yeah.
And point in case, this last position last year, I'm just finishing up my MBA. I just sold the 3 largest clients, and then January came along. We have a new CEO in place, or we had a new CEO in place, and they needed cuts. Well, the markets that have the Torontos, the Montreal, the Vancouvers are going to have people in place that can. You get to know your boss right there. They're right there. And then the smaller locations, Atlantic Canada, even though I was taking care of all the 4 provinces, it's going to get cut. And it happens all the time. Happened twice since we've moved back.
Really?
You know, and, yeah.
I really find, and you mentioned in Atlantic Canada, in the corporate world, and especially in Atlantic Canada, where you don't speak face to face with the guy or the woman making decisions, you don't build a certain repertoire. So it's, what have you done for me lately? It doesn't matter what you've done in the past.
Absolutely. Or it's what you're going to be doing. And it's funny. If things are going to get cut, you're going to get the smaller territories tend to take the biggest hit because it's, we'd much rather lose $1 million when you're looking at a $9 billion company.
Right.
Well, $1 million doesn't mean anything.
Doesn't
in
mean
$9
anything.
billion.
And that's when it comes back to you're just a number because
Just a
when they're
number.
just looking at numbers when they're making those decisions.
Pretty dispensable.
Which, I mean, I'm becoming.
I know we don't want to.
Yeah.
A lot of
This
people
is a
can
very optimistic
enjoy
podcast.
that type of life and go to work, do their thing, make their money, shut it off, and then go home and have their free time. But there's a lot of people out there that want something fulfilling and meaningful to fill their days with, as opposed to working for a corporation.
More and more, I think we keep drawing light to the fact that we're looking to awaken our creativity with that. I mean, we're seeing it with our generation. We're all flying through 6, 7 jobs, by the time we're 35, 40, as opposed to staying at that same job. And I think that's kind of what Mark's alluding to, is just changing that narrative on how we approach the workplace. But it's ultimately seeking that creativity, and that's where we're spawning out as young entrepreneurs, as opposed to trying to fall in line as one of the numbers. So, I mean,
There's nothing worse than staying and getting complacent.
yeah, I think it's just a new way of thinking of the workforce. You don't have to necessarily be trapped in the same position. Tell you what, awaken that creativity, have some fun, and see where it leads. And then, of course, with what you mentioned, you have that ability to bounce from spot to spot. If it's going one way, just serial entrepreneur your way into the next.
And it is human nature to get comfortable in the position and to not want to
Change is hard.
Right, change is very
Complacency.
difficult, even if the change is for the best. But I think one of those things we're saying, we mentioned with someone we had on the podcast the other day, Luella Lag is her name, is look at it as if it's always in a positive light. There's going to be negative things that are going to go on, negative events. But if you can look at each of those experiences as if you can take something out of it, then that's so important. It might not be something positive, but like we said, you may learn how not to manage an office or how not to communicate with your coworkers.
Do it and then beg for forgiveness. Just do it. That's the whole thing with this, is just do it. I mean, it's sustainable. It might turn into something big, whatever you're going to plan on doing. It might be big. It might not be. But you'd rather do it and fail than never do it at all. Because you're not going to be laying on your deathbed going, oh, man, I wish I had have sat in that meeting.
And some folks, they have the strength to push through that, where it doesn't seem to eat away. But, I mean, of course, you can see it coming through with you. You had it in you to push past that fear, maybe, and dive in, or whatever factor it may be. I mean, some folks, I'm using fear because ultimately
It is
the
a
fear
fear.
of failure, right?
Yeah, it's there's a fear for all of it. Like so last year when all that happened with the job, it's like
Now what, right?
Well, like I said, I have 3 kids.
Yeah.
Well, the mortgage still has to get paid. Like work has to happen, and you get a little bit of a severance package because it always happens like clockwork. You get new CEO comes on, they lay everybody up, then the numbers look amazing, but there's a bunch of people out of jobs. So works like clockwork all the time, and you'll see it in every big corporation. But then you got to go home, got to pay the mortgage and whatnot. So I went through 130 resumes. I'm not exaggerating. I put out 130 resumes. I met with countless people, and I had really great opportunity I had my dream job. I had my dream corporate job. It was my dream job. I always wanted to work with this corporation. It was an aviator. It was a airline, and it was a good role that it would be doing business development for this company that would eventually take us overseas, and it was just ticking all the boxes. And I got through 5 interviews, and I'm waking up at 2 a.m. so that I could talk to the person that's overseas.
Oh yeah.
And I'm dressed in a suit and a tie, and I'm sitting there on the camera.
Waist up.
Yeah. Oh yes.
Yeah.
Oh yes. But I'm bagged like this.
Yeah.
And big bags under my eyes, and staring at the screen, and having to answer the questions, and being all gung ho, having to
Trying to be
present.
chipper.
5 interviews only to get to the end and then not have it happen. And that happened at another position, another airline, and I was like, again 5 things, and then they decided that they would just
Marathons.
It was crazy. It was crazy, and I thought, I can't do that again. I can't do that, and it needs to be more sustainable. I'd rather
Right.
not make as much as I could possibly make right now, but have something that's mine.
Ooh.
That's scary. That's scary
That's the
because
scary part.
it's yours. You're every single part. We can't hire somebody right now to help with any of it. And
Just you.
it's just
Last
you.
line of defense.
You often think like when somebody starts their own business that it's like you hear these side hustle things and it's like you think it's like a faucet. Or they turn off their job.
Right.
Or there's that musician Ray LaMontagne. He put out a music his album and he
So
was a
good.
shoe salesman. You know
Was
what I
he?
mean? Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Good.
Yeah, he was
He's
a shoe
super
salesman.
young too, like
Super-
23, 4.
But everybody
He was a
knows
shoe
him as a
salesman,
shoe
yeah.
salesman, and then
Wow.
and then he just said, "I'm done with this," and then became a musician. So
It's really
so the
cool.
story is. Well, there's got to be a lot of legwork done beforehand, you
Somewhere
know?
in between. Something.
But that never gets talked about.
And I think that's one of the reasons that we want to have this type of podcast is to talk about the grunt work, talk about the stuff that goes
Share those
into it
stories,
that
yeah.
people don't want to really think about. They have to do to make this happen.
You gotta do it. That's
Gotta
the
do
thing.
it.
Right. But I think the difference being is if you really do find something that's meaningful to you or you're passionate about, it doesn't feel like work. No matter, 16 hours a day. We were talking to, once again, going back to Luella. She was in the bank and then switched to teaching, and her hours went up. But she didn't even realize it. Her friends were like, I thought we were going to see you more. She's like, I love what I do now. I can't help it.
It's so funny you say this. I had the weirdest thing happen to me the other day with the business. So I'm sitting there and I lost 2 hours of my life. I don't know where it went because I'm looking at an Excel spreadsheet. I look at Excel spreadsheets at my regular job all the time, but I'm looking at an Excel spreadsheet on for the business for Captain's Rations, and I'm looking and going through it and I'm figuring numbers out and I'm going, oh, and I have everything like meticulous right down to how much it costs per baking sodas
Yeah.
in each cake and broken down like it's very meticulous. And I had a meeting and I thought it was noon and I looked at my phone and it was 2:15 and I had 3 missed calls and I went, oh no, and I completely
Oops.
lost 2 hours
Wow.
that I don't know where that went at all. So yeah,
That's amazing though.
and then it's just on that point.
In
You're
the
having
same
fun,
sense. Yeah.
you know,
Right.
trying to
And-
make it fun.
Well, that statement holds so true. I mean, you don't know how much time flies by when you're having fun.
Yeah.
Time flies when you're having fun.
That's true.
I mean, it's so true. It holds firm. I want to go back just for a moment. You were heading on a really nice path, and I thought to myself, just kind of conquering that fear. Did you have a realization with it where you were like, okay, Tim, I've got to dive in. It's either sink or swim.
I'm an idea guy. So I'm constantly having different ideas come and pop into the head. And I used to be a musician, songwriter, and I did that for a stint and paid some bills that way. And so I've always been toying with the idea. But this process has really been like that idea of it coming all to fruition. Like growing up, it's always get a good job, get a good job, get a good job. And I always tried to keep a side hustle on the side with my music. But that was something that I had to always be told, oh, you got to get something more realistic and everything. So I've been always toying with ideas,
Secure.
but never put anything into it. Yeah, exactly. Secure. And paycheck is secure. So this was always sitting there, and that epiphany that we could actually sell it was probably after the first market. I was so unsure about it. I was going ahead with it because you dare me, I'm gonna do it. I just like I'm not gonna jump off a bridge, but but you don't underestimate me. And like I got a buddy. Because listen, when it comes down to it, it's cakes, right? I mean, they're really good, but it's cakes, right? And he goes, I was just talking, I was getting excited about it because we've got like new flavors coming up and we're treating it like a brewery kind of where we'll have these seasonal flavors. And
I like that.
It's
That's cool.
exciting,
Yeah.
right? I
Keeps
get
it
excited
fresh.
about that. Keeps it fresh. And by the way, they last a long time too.
I like that.
But then my buddy, and he's a great guy, and he says, oh, you'll never make $1 million at this. And he didn't mean anything by it, but he just, and in my head I'm like, well, no, you might be right. I said that, I said, you might be right. And in my head I'm going, well, I'm not out to make $1 million.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not about the
Wasn't on your
money.
list.
It's not on there. But you know what? 10 years from now, if I said to my wife, I said, wouldn't it be funny if we could sell the company for $1 million? And then I'd be like, ha ha. But it's not about that at all.
That's the thing, but that's that mentality. I mean, people think, why wouldn't I do that? Why would I do this if I can't make any money off it, or I'm not going to make a lot of money off it? It's like, it's not all about the money.
No. I mean, yeah, it's not.
Because guess what? Look at all the like super rich people. They're still trying to get more money. It's never enough.
It's true.
You're never gonna. It's just human nature. You're always gonna want more. So why not satisfy yourself with the actual experience?
If it's paying the bills, if you can wake up and be your own boss, and your kids aren't going hungry, and if you're feeding your kids in any way, and you're not hurting anybody, and you're feeding your kids, I think you're a success.
I think it's like 80 or 90. Anything after that, it's like the utility of happiness only goes up. Not that much. It's small increments after $80,000 or $90,000.
Really?
Yeah.
80 or 90 million? Did you say?
I can equate that a lot easier as well.
Yeah.
Well, I think of that guy down in the States, and I'm sure you guys saw this he was getting shamed. It was that Cosby Show actor. Do you remember this? This guy.
Yeah.
He was like a third tier character on the show, and he would have made like a ton of money. But now he is working in a grocery store.
Right.
And I thought, and so somebody took a picture and then Instagrammed it, and there's a lot of shaming out there with social media for any of stuff, you know? And I thought, why are you shaming this guy who's doing this? And he's feeding himself. If you're feeding yourself and you're feeding your kids, you're a success. I don't care what you're doing. But if you are seriously working hard enough to do that, don't shame anybody for working.
Yeah.
No matter what they were. It's crazy. So
It is crazy.
you might as well work for yourself if you're going to be trying to make a living, you know?
Right. Live on your own terms.
Never do it for the money.
Money will come if you don't do it for the money.
So does that, I think that, I mean,
Yeah.
that's kind of, I'm kind of still in the epiphany, you know?
I like that.
I'm
just so curious of it. I'm curious if folks are cognizant of it.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm in one now.
Yeah.
With the starting of a podcast, with taking on coaching, with my job being full time, you know, I have the fears going into each one almost daily. So I find myself reliving that epiphany each day, kind of.
And those are all really positive things.
Yeah, I know, it's great. It's just it's nice to see myself kind of head down the mountain and kind of, you know, building up that snowball.
Yeah,
Right.
heading up.
Exactly.
Going up. You're not falling down.
I'm gaining speed,
Exactly.
traction. I'm allowing myself to kind of head down, which is nice. That would be the analogy I'm looking to use.
Yeah.
And it seems like you're taking the same mindset. I mean, you're just kind of letting it travel down and you know,
something that I
develop
always
as
say
it
to
goes.
my kids, because what you said, like anxiety and fear and everything, it's in everything we do. And a lot of times, and I have to remember this for myself, it's not fear or anxiety. It's excitement. It's exact same feeling. If you're going to go on stage, you can change your mindset about, oh, I'm scared everybody's going to watch me, to, oh, I'm excited everybody's going to watch me. And whenever they get up to do their recitals, or they go on stage, or go and kick the soccer ball and whatever, and they're scared, I say, no, it's excitement. And I've had to channel that in my own brain for this, because
It doesn't always come naturally for some
no,
folks. Yeah.
it doesn't come. I don't.
You have
know,
to train yourself. You really
I like
train
that,
your
though.
mind.
Nervous energy. It's
Nervous energy.
excitement.
Harness it. It's what you do with it.
Exactly.
Obviously, we're not social psychologists or any social
we don't.
psychologists.
No.
We always preface that in an episode.
Yeah.
You know?
And then I say,
It's always
I
nice
took
to
a
go
couple
back.
classes at Dow.
You did.
This is a great session, guys.
Do you ever have that thinking like, well, why do I deserve success, or why would it be me that is going to find success in entrepreneurship of all people?
So doubt?
Doubt.
No, I don't have the. That's the one thing. It's so funny you say that. I don't think I have the doubt, because I know the product's so good.
It's preparedness. You eliminate the doubt.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. I do have the doubt of. I guess it's not doubt. It's more like the anxiety of, do I want to be like everything falls on me for all of it. Like my bookkeeper right now is terrible. He's getting fired, which is me. You know what I mean?
He's like, I hope he's not listening.
He's terrible. He's horrible.
He's the worst. And a great guy though.
Yeah. Real straight shooter.
Makes great rum cakes.
Yeah.
So I think if you're doubtful of your product, I think you really need to fine tune the product. Like, okay, for instance, I guess going into that, to answer that, we're coming up with all these different flavors. So right now we've got the original one, which is what you guys have with the amber rum, and then we have the dark and stormy style. It's called the Scallywag. It's got the candied lime, and so it's
Clever.
It's really nice flavor and a little good for the autumn.
Ooh, now my mouth is watering.
And then there's also we did an eggnog one, which is it's like you're eating eggnog. It's like it's really good, and all those flavors are really good. And we've got great ideas in the spring for pineapple coconut and like all these different other flavors that are coming in. And so we're working on one right now that's really, really unique. And I'll tease it. It's good. It's like a salt and sweet, but it's really unique. And I like it. I just don't have it there yet to be
Now,
to everyone.
your mom's original recipe, I assume, the amber rum.
Absolutely, yeah.
How are you growing on that with these new types of seasonal recipes? Do you have a bit of a background? Are you working with other bakers or what's going on?
Well, I've kind of been a natural. Like I used to bake cookies at 9. My mom would be like, "You make the best peanut butter cookies." And I have to say, this is the other thing with
They
it.
tricked you into baking for them.
Yeah, they would.
You were had.
It was the same thing with craft dinner.
I know.
They were like, "You're the best at craft dinner," and then
My mom always did it with biscuits.
It's because women are smarter. I've learned that. They just are.
I realized it at 15. I was like, Mom, you make unbelievable biscuits. She was like, I know, but who's going to do the lasagna? If not? Like, you know what I mean? So she'd always get me to split time.
But it worked.
Yeah.
And it's funny. I wasn't forthcoming with it. So whenever we make something, if we whip something up, and I'd say, "Oh, Katie, tell them you made it," and we'd go to an event, and this is forcing me to get out of that, like be confident with something that I've never really broadcast to everybody. And this with the help of Mom's recipe is helping me with getting that out to everybody. And that's something that I don't know why I would never be like, I bake or whatever.
It's nice to be humble, though.
But I was very not, and that's really forced me to come to say, yeah.
So where did you grow up, anyways?
All over.
You're kind of all over,
It was easier when we lived in Ireland because I could say I grew up in Canada.
Yeah.
And now here, back in Canada, it's like we've been all over. Grew up born in Bramalea, which doesn't exist anymore, and then from there we moved to Ottawa. We lived in Halifax, Lower Sackville, Calgary, Saskatoon.
Wow.
And then I said Jasper and Canmore all over. So we kind of moved all over the place.
Everywhere.
And that's the other thing too. Like Nova Scotia, it's what the best part about it is. It's a really great spot to start your own business because people are really into it here. They want to support local, and if it's a good product, they want to get it out there and let people know about it. And that's what I find. It's a great spot to start a business, but also
Absolutely.
it is still like there is a little bit of money focused, you know what I mean? But it's nowhere near like other places in this country or in the world.
Yeah.
And it's more about family. It's why one of our our provincial sports is a kitchen party. You know?
Yeah. It's so true.
we all have,
We value
We
value family values.
Friendship and family, yeah.
Friendship and value.
it's so important. It's so important in like the friends you make here. It's have for a long time. It's just it's a good spot. And so we've lived everywhere in the world, and actually my wife has moved more than me. She again came in and she lived in Florida for a bit, and she's been all over the place. But we used to move every 2 years, and then we settled back here. We moved to get closer to my mom, and and then my grandparents and all my cousins. I have tons of cousins that live here, and my wife fell in love with it too, because I said, like, listen, there's only two places where I would want to
Settle this.
settle. I like Ottawa and Nova Scotia, one of the two. Like, tons of friends in Nova Scotia.
Kind of similar.
Yeah, kind of.
Kind of.
I prefer Nova Scotia though, with the oceans and stuff. And as we stay here, it's just, you gotta make it work. You gotta make it work. And how we plan on making it work is, well, there's only, like, if you want sustainability, get a government gig, and or do your own
Plenty
thing.
of those in Ottawa.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I don't know. I just, it's a good spot. So we're not done with Nova Scotia
No.
by any long shot. So we want to make it work here in Halifax, and there's so much to offer. I mean, in fact, when people say, "Oh, how does Nova Scotia got?" You know, and I keep thinking that.
I know.
Absolutely, I get really bitter.
Right.
I can see it in your
Same. I can see it in your face. I just keep thinking it. Have fun. Stay
You
where
like
you
being
are.
the underdog.
I couldn't wait to get back home. Whenever I was traveling around in parts of Ontario,
It's funny how that grabs you, eh?
I just wanted to come back so badly. Yeah, it bugged me. I
Yeah,
was
you didn't
becoming
have fun
bitter.
up there.
No,
Yeah.
I just missed home so much.
It's-
I never felt that before.
And like, I love the mountains. I love the mountains, and I like Ontario for friends and family. But here, to have friends, family, ocean, like, the ocean just grabs us every time. Every time we got off the plane, it's like, and so when I kind of get offended when people are like, oh, Halifax, meh. And then I think, no, that's great. Keep thinking that, because house prices will stay relatively.
Yeah, exactly.
Stay where you are.
Leave the housing market alone.
Were all three boys born here?
They are all born here. They're all blue nosers, and
Nice.
and
Oh, I like that. Blue nosers.
Right?
yes.
Way better than Islanders.
Way better than Schooners.
You don't like the CFL name?
I'm not sold.
I'm kind of not sold on it either.
I don't know what Atlantic,
Chunier Schooners.
No.
like an area.
Yeah.
I don't understand that. I guess like it is Atlantic Province's team, but if it's in Halifax, it's Halifax.
Should be Peggy's Cove.
The Peggies,
The Cove.
the Coves.
The Peggies. Come on, Peggies.
That'd be funny. Yeah, the arena's called the Cove.
That'd be great.
Stay off the Black Rocks.
Anyhow, man. Yeah, we've
Bounced
it's a good
around.
spot. Yeah.
But we're glad you settled here.
Darn
Seems
right.
it seems to be working. Darn
I
right.
can't wait 10 years from now and be like, oh, guys, we got a 10-year anniversary special edition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
Well, and I think this is the best spot to start the Captain's Rations. I mean, we love rum, we love cake.
And it's so funny. Yeah, what can go better?
City of Lakes, so captains are everywhere.
It's amazing.
A lot of captains. around
It's
these
so
parts.
funny with all that said. Like, we're building this, and subconsciously we're building the idea in our Instagram account. We've got this brand. I'm not sure if you guys saw the
I was
Captain's
all over it.
Rations. Yeah, we've got this brand that it's really branding itself on its own, and it's great. We're getting new followers every day, and people love it, and we're coming up with quirky ways. And talking with my wife, Katie, we were talking with her the other day, and she says, it's so funny because subconsciously, last year when you were applying for all these jobs, and you're like, oh, when's my ship going to come in? And subconsciously, you created this company that is very nautical rum cakes. And
here we are talking about diving in the deep end. Whew.
yeah,
It's all throughout.
it's subconscious, but it's kind of funny. The ships. I mean, listen, my mom, I'd love to see her reaction. If when the day we get a store, I'll laugh my butt off. I tell you, because it's just I won't believe it, because it'll be something that she would think, oh, this crazy recipe, and if we could turn it into something, you know.
Is that how she always viewed the recipe? Crazy?
No, actually, I have a funny story about this.
Yeah, we do.
So my mom loved this recipe. My mom wasn't a drinker. Okay, she
Okay.
did not drink. There was never any booze in the house, but there was always a Mickey of rum for the rum cake. And so I think I was about 14. So I'm gonna go raid the liquor cabinet, which is one bottle.
Yeah.
And so we go brew some tea, and my buddy was visiting. I take a little bit out and make a little drink out of it, and then put the tea in it to replace it. So
all
Same
there.
color.
I think we did it in one night. We did the whole Mickey, and then we did it, and it's the same color. My mom would never know, and I forgot all about it until the day that she
Went to make rum.
She wanted to
cake.
make rum cake. I came down and I see this thing and it's flat. It's flat, and she just put an hour into it. I'm such a jerk, and I never did this. I never did anything like that again. 'Cause I felt so horrible. So the whole thing's flat. She's like, I don't know what's wrong with this rum cake. It's just not working. And I'm like, maybe the rum's off.
Bad batch.
I never owned up to it, which I should have did.
No.
I think, because I tried to let it go, but I never touched that rum ever again.
Oh man.
But now our kids are going to do the same to us for sure.
Most likely. That's a
Absolutely.
good story, though.
You pass that down for sure.
So I owe her. She'll laugh. It'll
So I'm
become
just
something.
looking at your daily schedule here that you set out for us, and I'm just wondering where you fit sleep in.
If I get a sleep in?
If
Where you fit
where you
sleep
fit
in.
sleep in. You definitely don't get a sleep in.
No, I slept until 7 today. It was great. It was
Big
awesome.
sleep in. Hey.
I did. It felt good.
That's good.
We just make it work. Burn the candles in the middle, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Things got to slide. Like, you can't do it all. And I'm getting okay with that. I think I told you guys I'm building a deck. I started the deck back in May. And we were extending it by like 200 feet. And
Whoa.
it's a big deck, you know? And I came so close to getting it done. It was, I have like literally 5 boards I got to nail down, and there was the snowfall. But we also were running this business.
So cold.
And Katie's business, and then the kids' stuff, and there's a lot of irons again in the fire, and yeah, I don't know where we sleep, but we gotta get it.
You get a little bit in. I mean, more than you were getting when you were being interviewed at 2 a.m. So, I mean,
Yes,
that's fine.
for sure. Well, because there you go to bed at what? Yeah, because you're prepping for the interview, and then 2 a.m. Yeah, it's nuts. Wow, wasn't worth it.
Can't imagine. How do you give a good interview at that time?
You fake it.
You fake it.
You just do.
You're not wearing pants, man. You can do anything. What are you talking about?
It's true. I didn't wear pants.
Suit, waist up.
Just jogging pants. I
It's
did
a
wear,
little-
so yes.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, that keeps it.
Anyway, but that's it. I
guess.
get sleep in, and I do find there's I gotta, like I was saying too before, trying to work out and stuff. You gotta keep things in perspective for yourself and have some fun. I mean, this is great, and I'm having fun with. It has been fun building this business, and it's great. But you need to take some more time to really focus on specific health things, because you're no good to nobody else if you're gonna burn the candles at both ends all the time. So I think that aspect of my life has been pushed to the side.
I think that happens a lot with entrepreneurs.
And being okay with a dirty house. Like when I mean dirty, I mean like the laundry is piled up, and
Yeah.
we might have to hire somebody to be come in and fold the laundry, but make it work. You're just making it work. Just make it work. Just do it.
And I mean, we're really trying to avoid defining success for our listeners, but something that we would note on with those that we do find successful, they often reprioritize or prioritize things accordingly to achieve what they need to. And I mean, it seems to me that you're doing the exact same with some things have to fall behind, but as long as the ones I really want to see push forward, as long as those are good, then I'm all set.
That goes back to, I mean, how we were raised and how you mentioned you were raised. You know, it's a very straightforward path. You go to school, you go to university, you get a job for the majority of your life, you get married, have kids, settle down. Great. And that works for a lot of people. But I think it freaked me out, and I think it freaked Ben out, because we were like, that's not what we want to do. Is there anything else that is possible? Maybe. And I think that's the kind of thing we're trying to do here, is that there are so many alternatives, endless alternatives.
And do more than one at once.
Right. Just keep throwing as many irons in that fire to try and, get to where you want to be in terms of success.
I think, listen, it's if you got an idea and you just go with it, it's better than to do it. And
Right. At least
Get it.
try.
At least try.
Yeah.
You feel so good afterwards. Even if
Very
it didn't work out,
accomplished.
you did it.
And then you can learn some lessons.
And just
Apply
keep
it to the
going.
next one.
Yeah, it all ties in.
Just
There's
do
always
it.
lessons to learn.
Definitely.
Keep chugging along.
And I mean, it doesn't seem like you needed to come to a hard stop with what you were currently doing. It's just, as you mentioned, tack another one on.
It's funny. The markets have been selling out every time we go to the market, and we made enough to buy a new mixer, and I mean, we're
Big day.
I said to Katie, I said, like, the mixer was $800.
Right,
I mean,
yeah.
like, and after costs and everything, we made enough to do that. So it's in 5 months. I said, we're not even like one weekend here and there, you know. Started out of summer. I said, we're not really giving it 100%, and already it's proven really successful. And having these partners, like, well, who gets into the NSLC in the first 2 months? Like, that's crazy.
Nobody.
And then to be invited back and do it another 2 times, and it's just been really great. The story's really good, and it's authentic. And then even our logo, like things like our logo, it was so quick. We needed something to put on for the first market. We found this little kid's tattoo, and we took a picture of it. We're like, oh, okay, and then we felt really guilty about it because we're like, we don't know who the artist is, and we don't know how to track him down, and
A lot of hoops to jump through.
a lot of hoops. So, and we were worried about it, and then
I've seen.
we had Taxi as the creative group down in Toronto.
Right.
They take care of like Canadian Tire, Pepsi, Coca-Cola, like a big group.
Big group.
And the creative director was like, "We'll do your logo pro bono." We're like, what?
Uh-huh.
What?
So
Such a great reaction. We react the same way.
it's crazy. So and we're going,
People want to help.
Absolutely.
We found the same thing.
Yeah,
People want to help people who are helping themselves.
I like that though. It's true because you do help people who help themselves.
Right.
I'm guilty. Like when people are playing music on the street, and I learned this in Toronto. There's a lot of people. I give them the money when I'm giving money to charities and stuff, and yeah, it's
When you help yourself, the doors that open up are endless.
Yeah.
Because then, I mean, you're really avoiding any sort of negative connotations. I mean, you're
And people want to be around that type of attitude.
yeah, that type of attitude definitely.
and that's ageless too. Like
It's
because a lot of
incredible.
people say, "Oh, when they're in their 50s or 60s, oh, I can't get a job." And I get it. It's harder because you compete against younger people and stuff. But we all get there. But it's true. If you see somebody, that's a great analogy. Somebody pushing a car, and I would totally get and help them for sure. Whereas opposed to somebody sitting down and
Thumbing it.
Yeah.
interesting.
And I mean, it's a nice way to keep working on you. Keep doing what it is that you find helpful to arrive where you want to be. I keep going back to that, but I just think it really applies nicely to most aspects of life. It kind of rids you of those thoughts that you're placing blame before it even happens. I mean, or you're letting that fear creep in before it even happens. You're letting that nervousness take you over. It hasn't even happened.
You're creating end
creating
scenarios
that, yeah.
before they've already even taken place.
So approach it open-minded.
But that's doubt. I mean,
Yeah.
everyone has that.
I think I hate coming back to that, but it's just get it done. Just do it.
There's a reason
Breakthrough.
that's one of the most famous slogans in the world.
I know,
Just
and
do
you
it.
hear it all the time. But when you actually think about it, and you put it into context, often do you just get it done? Just get it done. I don't
It's-
feel like I've done it
Yeah,
enough.
it's tough for people to wrap their head around.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I wonder,
Because people get so caught up in what happens after you start something. Oh, I've got to do this. I've got to do that. All these things to complete this task that they don't even start it in the first place, which is 50% of it. Just doing it once again.
Listen, we got a showing at Noble Grape coming up, and we're doing some we're going to be doing special cake making and with a specific type of rum, and we've got other restaurants that are looking at buying our cakes and getting it out there, and it's happening, and I'll be fully blunt about this. I don't feel ready. I don't feel ready right now sitting here, even though the product's there, and I've now officially made way more rum cakes than my mom had ever had.
Really?
Just because we've been
You're
just
pumping them.
firing them out,
Non-stop, yeah.
and it's I'm going, okay, well, maybe I could do something different, or I feel confident with this and stuff. And there's always going to be that you're trying to put barriers up. It's a good product, keep it going, and that's the way to do it. Just be confident with it. And I'm surprised that it's been so receptive and easy, and it's still a lot of hard work. Like when you're baking for 8 hours, you're gonna break a sweat.
Yeah.
And it's like physical activity because you're trying to get 20 batches of cakes done. It's a lot of work, but at the same time, if you're finding joy in it, and the next day, I really like that interaction with the clients.
Right.
People would come back and they're like, "This is the best thing I ever tasted," and then they'll
Right.
get.
Makes your day.
It's great. We started these we sold these little. My wife calls them petit fours, tiny ones, and put them in a bag like this, wrap them up. And this lady walked around the market with them on her hand, showing everybody. And then and she was proud as punch with this, and we sold out of those like crazy. And she walked around and she had a trail of people coming over, and at the market we always have like we're 3 people deep always, like
You're in the
lines.
weeds.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's constant, and it's if we got something, you got something, and then there's always something that comes up and is angry about, oh, is this vegan? We're like, we're not vegan.
No,
like,
sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, is it? Is it got eggs in it? And we're like, yeah, of course it's got eggs in it. It's
a bakery.
It's bakery.
What?
So we and there's always going to be like negative.
Yeah.
Pretend this was made in the year 1995.
Yeah. But it's true. There's always going to be that negative,
Always.
whatever the word is, that negative feeling surrounding
There's always going to
starting
be
it up.
haters. That's just the way it goes.
haters.
And
you just got to block it out.
Yeah, but we don't as humans, right?
It's tough.
We
It's
focus
so
in
incredibly
on it.
hard.
Well, we want to be loved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We seek that validation.
Like how many times do you sit there cringing about something that happened
Human.
7 years ago?
I know,
You're like,
right?
Oh, I should have done that.
Do you see that on social media all the time? When I remembered that I forgot to do this 5 years ago or whatever.
Just look at what you've been able to do with the assurance now. I mean, the assurance of having it 3 deep, it builds that confidence, and then you're able to really feel super confident with your product. Then all of a sudden, any sort of negative things shining through, you're like, no, I've got a great product. I can keep going back to that assurance.
I think that's why I couldn't answer the question about doubt. I was like,
I knew we'd get there. I knew
it. Yeah, because I know I had doubt about it in the beginning, but you do build that resiliency up.
Right.
Definitely. I mean, you can apply it to anything. It's like a hockey player who's on a slump. Goals aren't going in. All of a sudden, he scores and he's playing unreal. He's the best player on the team. All of a sudden,
Comes down to coaching.
Confidence. But
I coach tennis, not hockey.
the player that gets out of that slump best doesn't allow the negative.
They just keep.
You know what I mean? They just keep doing the same
trucking.
things that made them successful.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that kind of goes back to your point. You just keep pumping out cakes. I mean, you just keep firing them off. So as long as you can do that and trust in it. I mean, obviously that's not the entirety of the recipe, the recipe for success, but it's certainly a major portion for sure. I mean, then it becomes easier to relate. And then the more authentic it is, the more real and genuine you seem with that approach. Sky's the limit. I mean, everyone will respect that. There's not many that won't. Yeah. So if you can establish that, going back to what you said, with establishing a solid work ethic, you're set, right?
You're set.
It kind of defines you as a person. Then it really sets the tone on what your values look like.
It's the foundation, absolutely.
Boom! All of a sudden, it becomes the most beautiful quality.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And it's you can't even see it.
I don't have time for bad work ethic. I just don't. I just can't handle it. I don't understand that. So you got to just
keep going for it.
Do
I
more.
like that.
Yeah.
Do more. Do it. Just do it and just do more.
Just do more.
Yeah. I see that on a T-shirt very soon.
It's funny. And speaking of doing more, we got plans to ship. We got asked to ship some to Australia, to the States. And today I got asked to ship something to Toronto, to Calgary, we're still new. Like, we don't, our website's still under construction. And I saw I was getting some flack from somebody about not being able to ship it to Toronto. I said, well, we're not there. It's just specifically just local.
Yeah.
But also, there's a postal strike on that hasn't been finalized.
UPS.
So as a small business, well, that'll add, like, doing the margins, that adds like 15% cost. I mean, are
On
you gonna,
shipping. Yeah.
for a cake on our medium size, you're going to really pay $40 when the cake is $25. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's a big,
Yeah, that's
crazy. It's crazy.
not feasible.
That's not feasible whatsoever.
So you got to be the logistics of everything to make it work. And
You used the word clean, and I saw it. I saw it a multitude of ways, but obviously I pictured a bakery very clean.
Yeah.
But you went back to a point on the Excel sheet where it was very clean and meticulous the way it was set up.
Yeah.
I find that very interesting as a trait. I mean, I picture bakers madhouse, flour flying everywhere.
Oh, it
and,
gets like
maybe not on top of the books too, where they're really allowing their creativity to shine. But it seems as though you've tied it all together. very nicely.
Trying to make it work. Like,
Yeah.
the idea with the MBA was to get out and get into a CEO position and figure that out, or director role, and it just looked promising. That was what was going to happen. I had no doubt in my mind until life happened.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, jeez. But now being able to rely on that education, like, still use it.
Yeah.
Why would I waste that? It's great. And if it could turn into something, it was more for me. I mean, I was a high school dropout, so for me, going to university was one of those things that I needed to get done. I went back at 17. I had to figure it out. So going back, and getting my education both at high school on my own, finishing high school on my own.
GED or
Nope, I went back and did it.
Nice.
I went like legit, and then I did it. Went to U of T, and then I did got university, and then I did college all on my own, and then I went back and got my master's all on my own.
Wow.
And I needed that to just say, for me, that was more for me. So whether a CEO role comes with that, I've now realized that maybe this is the CEO role. That's something that's that
right
I've
in front of
created.
you. Yeah.
Now, was that all of that more of to prove to yourself that you could do it because you didn't do it initially?
Yeah. Well, I missed out on you guys went to Dow, and that whole living in a dorm life, I mean, it's not what I want now at all, but the idea of being able to go to university, well, at that time I couldn't afford it, and it took me a long time. I was paying the bills, and all my friends were going out to university, and it was this letdown in myself. I only had one credit left when I dropped out, but I dropped out anyways, and years went by, and I went, this is ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous why I wouldn't do this. So I did night school for that one credit, and at the time it was OACs in Ontario, because I was living in Toronto at the time, and my sister was a dropout at the same time, and I said, I'm going back to get this, you should come back and get it, and we went back together, and I did it. I did law, she did I think it was English. She got hers, and then I went and signed up for U of T right afterwards. As soon as I got in, did some rowing there, which was fun, and then my sister, about 3 years after the fact, went to U of O, University of Ottawa. And out of our entire family, we're the most educated people in the whole family, and we were the only ones that were high school dropouts.
Really? That's interesting.
And we're more than I'm talking like 80 people.
Wow.
So, I mean, and now I want my kids to say, this is the plateau, go further,
Yeah,
So,
I like that.
so
Set the bar high.
set the bar.
It's important to not put limitations on it.
Yeah, just go for it. Just do it.
Just do it.
I'm going to go buy some Nikes.
We're going to get a call from Nike.
No.
Like,
If anything, they're gonna call us and say thanks for the support.
Thanks
You
for the
guys
free
really
ad space.
hammered home on just do it.
market
Everyone's
share
going
just
in.
went up. What happened,
Yeah,
guys?
buying Nike.
Let's hope. That'd be
Is
great.
Colin Kaepernick on your guys' show? Wowzers.
Oh my! So you've got something coming up, an event with Appleton.
Yeah, we actually have an event at Noble Grape coming up.
Yeah.
Shout out to Noble Grape.
Yep.
That's excellent.
We also have we have an NSLC event. It's getting into like Christmas, which is just crazy. So we're
Madness.
on top of hours and stuff with the kids' performances and things, because we're balancing everything. And that's one area I don't want to slack on. So before this, I was sitting with the kids playing cards. I won't slack on the dad thing. I mean, sometimes I have to say, get in a bed. You need to get in a bed because we've got to do 6 loads of cake. And please
It's not going to get done with you up. Just get to bed.
But on a Sunday morning, I'm like playing cards and anything they want to do. And there. But so it becomes really family focused for December. But on top of that, we got all these orders that we got to do. So it's slowly creeping up. We just finished a market, and we were going to sign up for the second and third, and we said it's just not working right now, because you always hear with entrepreneurs, it's just like turn on the faucet and get into it and get it done. Well, it doesn't work right now with us with the events and stuff. The NSLC event, I think there's one coming up in the new year, because we couldn't commit to anything in December. We just did one. And I think when I filled the questionnaire, it's coming up. It's exciting. And yeah, so now, but these other events that we have, like I said, the main focus, we want to get into the restaurants, and we have a few leads on that. And so now it's getting the proper licensing, and we have a commercial kitchen that we're using that this is awesome. We stumbled on a commercial kitchen that was underused, and they're giving us a good opportunity to use it, but they have like a 20-liter mixer. And it wasn't
For those of you listening, that's huge. You should have seen how far Tim was stretching.
It's massive. It's massive. And it wasn't even on the cards. They said, we have 2 ovens, and then at the end of the whole tour, I was like, okay, yeah, this will work. Yeah, that's great. She takes the tablecloth off and goes, would this be of use to you? It never gets used. I was like, holy crap. Yeah. Like, that thing's like $6,000. I'll totally use it.
Totally.
So that's kind of interesting. And yeah, so I think there's a lot of cool things happening, that aspect. And then, So,
I definitely think, or I feel as though you're trying to establish your lane. And with that, it's okay to kind of pull back the reins a bit, as you are for December, because you want to focus on that specific lane, whether it be restaurants or different avenues that you want to really promote your product and get it out there. It's so important to be cognizant of that. I mean, I'm in a small business now. You've worked in a lot of different companies along the way where you've been in the business development role, so you can probably relate when I suggest that it's oftentimes those that are most cognizant of where they're at currently, where they are currently with their business, find the most success. Of course, it's important to think ahead of time, and obviously important to draw on what you've just experienced, but stay as present in that moment as you possibly can. And I think you're doing an excellent job of that, just even by stepping back in December and really focusing on the new year and what's coming up.
Yeah, you got to be comfortable in saying no.
It builds the anticipation then, right? And that's a way to quickly spin it positively, as opposed to being like, we can't do it in December. Well, we're not doing it in December. We know what we're doing in January.
Maybe
Yeah, and then things will slow down, and then we can focus on other stuff. I mean, with the change of like all these other costs that we didn't realize we'd be paying for, like new licensing, and you got to get a food establishment, things like there's things that you got to cross off, and they weren't costs that I factored in the beginning. Well, now getting those in place, once we have them in place, the sky's the limit. You can call up and be confident with things, because there's a whole bunch of different licensing when you're selling them at a market, as opposed to selling them in a restaurant or selling them in a store or shipping them. It's all different types of costs,
And so you mentioned
regulations,
regulations and costs.
Yeah. You mentioned that you not necessarily feel like you're always behind the curve, but you feel like you've always got to be ready for something at any point in time. Do you ever feel like that's going to change, or is it that's kind of the life of an entrepreneur? You're always somewhat tense because you got to be ready for anything.
You have to be on your toes, kind of.
I think you do. I think you have to be on your toes. Yeah, I think you have to be ready. I mean, you gotta figure it out. Like in the costing and stuff, we have to figure out things like a lot of times with entrepreneurs, they don't think of overhead, they don't think of energy, they don't think of in developing a product specific, or even hours. They dismiss their hours, their hourly wage, or they overcompensate. Oh, I'm worth $80 an hour. Give me a break, man. Like, you're not getting paid $80 an hour now. Why do you think somebody's going to be giving you $80 an hour now for your product? And finding that fine line when you're doing things, and like looking at wholesale pricing and breaking it down, factoring in every single thing with the padding that you can eventually hire somebody. That's where I'm at. That's what I'm trying to figure out right now, so that in a year from now, I can hire somebody to do the baking and be like, okay, can you please...
But you're so aware where you're at. Like, I'm saying that on an endearing level now, because I just feel as though it's very important to be cognizant of where you are.
Well, that's true. I mean, we talk about just jump in, just do it, which is the most important thing. But it's also incredibly important to have some sort of plan going into it, because I know a lot of small businesses fail because people don't have a plan. They just jump right in. But I think you've been able to harness both of those aspects.
Yeah, it's been pretty successful so far. No complaints. It's great. Just I'm really, that turning point from when I met you. It was awesome, because it was a situation when we were standing at the golf course. That was the day, trying to say, keep this going, like, or not keep it going. What are we going to do with this? And it's funny, like, I'm sitting there with a big supplier of rum, and I'm going, I can't even see the forest for the trees. I'm standing there, and with the Restaurant Association of Nova Scotia, and I was seriously contemplating, like, what, before stopping. And yet there's this huge event that all the signs are saying, keep it going. What are you doing, man? Like, keep it going. And then having this chat, it's good, really good, putting it all in perspective, for sure.
It's awesome.
It is awesome.
Sometimes you need that.
Perspective check? Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, we all get discouraged once in a while, but get right back on that horse.
Yeah, absolutely.
A man isn't judged how he falls off it. He's
Are you
judged how he
making up
hops back
another
up.
quote over here?
No.
He makes one up every
I wish I had
podcast.
That's
a pen.
definitely not me.
I wish I had a pen. I'd be writing these down.
I know,
I'd be
right?
like, next T-shirt idea.
We can't keep referencing the past.
You can't ride a horse. No, wait, that's not.
No, that's not it. That's a
the
different
wrong
one. Yeah. We need more rum for that kind of joke.
Yeah.
Right.
Funny.
So you mentioned, I think we'll finish up soon here, but you mentioned that you play music.
Oh yeah.
So is that after you mentioned you were a high school dropout? Did you go to play music after that, or what was your?
So after that, you had to, when I first got kicked out, I was working in retail, and then I got in restaurants as well.
Yeah.
And so worked at the places all in Toronto, a few places, serving, and because you got to make money.
Oh yeah.
All of a sudden,
We know that.
toilet paper doesn't just appear. You actually have to buy it, you know?
It's weird. That's a very scary realization.
It is. It's one of those things like, wait, toothpaste doesn't just appear in my bathroom. I got to pay for this?
Gotta go get.
So, yeah. So I got a few series of jobs, and my dad was a pianist, and so we learned music growing up, and then I used to work at Long McQuaid, and I wanted to be a luthier. So I was kind of scrambling. A luthier is somebody who makes guitars. I'm sure you guys know that. So I still want to do that. That's going to be my side retirement.
Yeah.
If I'm going to go back to school, I'm doing that. There's two other school things I want to do. It's to make guitars and to make a cedar strip canoe. Those are the two things. So
I like it.
Go
Both
and do
things
that.
are great.
That's the next educational.
For someone who dropped out of school, you seem to enjoy it.
I know. It was just
keep going back.
Yeah.
But I think that's great is your mentality that you said, just do it, just jump in. You really do apply that to everything. You're like, hey, you know what? I have a successful business. I have a job. I've got a family. But why don't I go to more school and learn how to bake? Like, why not?
Why not?
Why not?
Yeah. And it's funny. I don't think that works really well in the corporate world.
No.
And that's going
Not
back.
as flexible.
It's not. I mean, like, you don't get a chance to really hone in on your capabilities in the corporate world. You got to toe the line, lots of paperwork, and
Well, you've got everyone in the office trying to do the same thing. So, I mean, there's no individuality.
like somebody asked me this. They said, "What do you do for a living?" It was one of my professors at St. Mary's. What do you do for a living? To the group. And, oh, I'm this. I am a business development person. Yeah. What do you do? Well, I guess I answer emails and call, push paper around. And when you put it in that context, it's like, what am I doing? What am I doing?
Mind-numbing stuff.
It's crazy. It's crazy to think that we just go to this place to push paper around and push emails to somebody who's pushing paper and pushing emails back at us, and they're pushing emails because they're getting emails sent to them and they're pushing it like it. That is crazy. So we're always click, always. And I have to say, with this at the market, that's my favorite part. Being with the clients,
Face to face.
laughing with them, and sometimes we don't even talk
Very
about
personal.
the cakes. It's just
Yeah.
it doesn't happen. Like this doesn't happen. Like talking with people.
We're certainly not. We're, sorry to interrupt. But we're not looking to knock the corporate world. It's just the exact opposite of what the three of us in this room are looking to get out of this life.
Yeah, there's like you
Nothing
said, a
wrong
lot of
with
people
it.
who can live that life. And
A lot of
and
people,
have a lot of success.
in
and
fairness, they don't even realize it. Right?
No.
We speak about this, and it's come up a few times now. That realization, that epiphany.
Yeah,
Where
and
it's
like I agree. The corporate world.
You got that
it's-
question, right? Where it's like, what do I do? Oh, that realization. I am just what? I need to do more than push a paper.
And some people can really succeed in it.
Yeah.
And that's something that, again, I'm coming through this epiphany of things. It's like, why am I trying to force a square peg in a round hole? It doesn't make sense for me. And it can work really well for somebody else. Somebody's really content with that, and that's awesome. If they're putting food in their mouths or in their kids' mouths, you're a success.
Back to that point, yeah.
I don't care what you're doing as long as you're not hurting other people, and that's it. Like, but for me, from my history of it, and just the way it's worked, it doesn't work for me, and that is a big statement for myself to come to terms with.
Yeah.
Same here. I mean,
The sooner you can, the better.
Yeah, exactly. I have, well, Ben, he works at a startup. I have a marketing degree, and I was working for about a month earlier this year at a, well, it was a glorified call center. Let's be realistic. I shouldn't say that. Great people. But it was a magazine, and I was calling up businesses to say, hey, we want to write about you in the magazine. So I was just calling up CEOs all day long. And I had never been so anxious. I'm not a very anxious person. I tend to see it as excitement as well, but I'd never been so anxious in my entire life. It wasn't hard work. I wasn't worried about failing or anything like that, but it was the fact that it was just so wrong. It just felt so wrong for me to be doing that stuff that, I don't know, it was weird. I needed something meaningful
Didn't fuel your
to get
fire.
me through the day. And that was not that. There was no connection.
And again, nothing wrong with it for those that can stick it out at the magazine.
And that was the thing. Like, I was fully expecting
that
to go into that
anxiousness.
job and not have that anxiety. I mean, I had some doubts, and there are people that go into that job and can do it and feel great and go home and be like, I just closed, 3 companies. Awesome. I closed one but I didn't even feel that great about it. I was like, all right,
It's funny. We're lucky in Canada to have that. Like we can feel this way here. If we're living in
That's such a great point.
a third world country, you got to make it work.
We're more aware of it now, though, than ever, and that's how we're so able to be, okay with it, with that train of thinking, where it's like, it's okay if that doesn't fuel your fire, we'll find you something.
Exactly, and we're so lucky.
So
lucky.
If everything goes to junk, you got EI here in Canada. Like that's
huge as well.
It's a safety net.
luxury.
It's
here.
basically encouraging you to be as creative as possible. Hey, you get
Absolutely.
one freebie, try it.
Absolutely, yeah. And you
Yeah.
got a year to do it. And I mean, I know in my situation, I was so worried about it because I didn't need it because I had the severance and then I still applied for it, never used it because I had found a job by then. And that's just it. If you can you never have to worry about that, and you're just pulling it off and doing your own thing. Or like, we're lucky. What was it?
Now
Gates.
more than ever.
Bill Gates. What did he say? He got asked this question. He said, if you could buy, or if you all of a sudden tomorrow you had no money, what would be the first thing that you did? No money, no house, no nothing. You had nothing. And he said, I'd go buy chickens. And they're like, why chickens? He's like, buying some chickens creates entrepreneurship. You can then start selling your eggs immediately, and then you start having chicken. Then when those babies grow up, it's sustainable. You've all of a sudden with chickens, 2 chickens, you've got a business going on. And then he said it will change people's lives by having that as the only source of their income immediately. And that's what his foundation does, is he goes out and he gets chickens for the third world countries and whatnot. But it creates these people that have that wherewithal in them, because whether you're poor or rich, there's people who are motivated in either way. Some people enjoy being poor and they'll stay poor and they'll stay there, and they're okay with that. There's some people who are rich and they don't need to do anything, so why bother? They become a socialite, whatever it is, which is fine, whatever they need to get by. But the people that have that are poor and they've got that drive of entrepreneurship, that can change their life and
change the world.
Yeah, and it eventually does that. And then, so if you can find your chickens to create your entrepreneurship, like that, we're lucky that we're not there. We already have a leg up. We can have this creative idea. Like, what are we gonna do with it? We're gonna make it work. And we got this idea and I turn it into something. You're taking nothing. You got nothing, and you're gonna turn it into something. And that's what I'm doing with this. It was nothing. It was a little envelope forgotten about in the cupboard, and take that out, make something out of nothing, turn it into a business model.
Yeah, that's something we were talking about Vietnam before we started recording. Tim and I have both been to Southeast Asia. One thing I noticed is they're all entrepreneurs over there.
Yeah.
Every single one of them is
The tailors.
right.
Yeah.
Everyone's running a business. Everyone's doing something, and it's not
Specialized to
a
make
lot
a
of
buck with.
small businesses, a lot of family businesses.
Yeah.
It's really cool, and there's not a lot. Like, the one thing I really noticed is there seemed to be a lot more happiness with a lot less stuff.
Yeah, and it seems safer at that. You know what I mean? Like you're going for the banh mi on the side of the street. Like, the people are cooking food on the street. Some of the best food we're seeing on seal test crates, just milk crates, and we're eating food in a square where there's cars driving by us, like in the restaurant.
It's amazing.
And we watched an accident happen. It happened like 4 feet from where we're sitting and eating the chicken that we had picked out that was raw, and they cooked it for us fresh, right there on the street. And it's safe. The only, which is crazy when you think about what's happening in that part of the world. The only thing is, like, we had a few instances when we had too much beer, and I paid somebody like the equivalent of, I think it was like $80 Canadian for a taxi ride. Like,
Yeah.
that was,
That'll happen.
and they're just gonna go, yeah, thank you.
I'm not going to correct you.
But as like I know I saw like a 4-year-old just dancing down the street with his sister who was 6, and they're walking way far from their parents, and we're in between, and it's just a safer environment. Maybe it comes from people just helping each other.
Especially in Vietnam. I mean, we took a train from Hanoi to Ho Chi Minh, and everyone in our cart, it was 6 per cart, were talking as if they were family. Everyone came in at the same time, except they all left at different spots. They didn't know any of them before they got on that train.
It's awesome.
It was so cool. They were so helpful and so sweet. Couldn't speak English, but it was cool.
I'm gonna sell my rum cakes there. It's gonna happen.
I like it.
Don't take the 36-hour train ride.
That sounds awful. Actually, 36 hours.
It was.
I took a flight. It was-
Should have flown.
Yeah.
Terrible idea. Never again.
Somebody told
Those
us that. That's
planks.
why we didn't do that.
Wow.
Oh my.
Just I had this on the tip of my tongue, so I want to revisit it. I think society now more than ever is really lending itself to having young people in the workforce not feel how you felt. They're encouraging you to break free of that sooner so that you don't feel anxious. Obviously, that's at the forefront. You don't want to have anyone with anxiety. So I think society is at a spot where it's really encouraging folks to find it in them, to figure out, okay, what does get you up in the morning? What does get you to work? What does get you to produce at a good rate? I just wanted to note that point, that it's amazing that you were able to do it, and it took a lot of courage to just step away from. I've been there myself. It's not easy, but you have to if you want to feel that fire.
Yeah, you got to step out of your comfort zone.
But society's done an excellent job of really lending itself, and that just kind of ties it in nicely, obviously, with the EI and everything we mentioned.
You guys are way ahead of the game before having kids, for sure. If you can teach your kids that, you're laughing, for sure.
Right?
That's the struggle, though, right? It's not easy to teach it.
And
Instill it.
Instilling it, yeah.
Can't be that hard, right?
that's what it's easy to start a business.
No problem.
Put your money where your mouth is.
It is
Here we
true.
are.
Here we are.
Well, it's, I don't know if you have anything else you wanted to add there.
I honestly think we covered a great deal.
That was great. It's been an hour and a half, if you're wondering.
Oh, jeez. I would only say, come visit us on our Instagram,
Definitely.
with Captain's Rations, Nautical Rum Cakes, or on our Facebook, the same thing with Captain's Rations. And then if there's any questions, orders, anything, go through our website, or we'll go through our website. It's but the email right now, the captainsrations@gmail.com.
We'll put all the info on the bottom of our social media as well.
Link it.
Absolutely. And then come eat our cakes.
Right? People helping people.
You
Your
guys are
story is pretty cool.
you guys are now the guinea pigs. You know that. Eh?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Can't wait.
You're gonna get some siren kisses, and they'll be like, "Eat this."
Mark and I just
Thank
nut
you.
tapped underneath the table here. As soon as you mentioned it, we were like, yeah.
We actually started this whole
Yeah.
podcast so we could get free rum cake. That was the only
Free everything, honestly. We're just lining them up and knocking them out.
And that's great.
Awesome. All right. So once again, I'm Mark Boudreau, and this is my
Ben
co-host,
Grammer.
Ben Brammer. Thanks again, Tim. Really appreciate it. And
Anytime.
we'll
Really
see you
appreciate
next
it.
week on Brand New View.
I was the same old me with the same old blues. I was the same old me. I was the same old me. I was the same old me with the same old blues. With the same old blues. With the same old blues. I was the same old